Well, guys, happy Friday, and in an effort to continue to bring you nothing but the best in the world of sports handicapping, I really wanted Kelly in Vegas, Kelly and Stewart, but unfortunately I got stuck with Lawrence Presman. He joins us via the Miami Acura hotline. LawrenceWagerTalk.com is where you will get him. He is known as the Prez. And Prez, thanks for taking some time and hanging out with us, brother man.
You know, Joe, it is absolutely my pleasure, and you're so right. Kelly would have been so much better, especially on video. But, well, you're stuck with me, and I hope not to disappoint, but I'll try to disappoint at least for a few minutes.
Oh, listen, that ship has sailed, my friend. Not a problem. But we do want to talk, and the reason we brought you on here today is we've gotten an awful lot of hockey questions, especially in the way of handicapping, and I couldn't think of anybody better to talk hockey than the Prez himself. Now, before we get to that, we got to let you know where you can find him, and it's fairly simple. You can find him at wagertalk.com, okay? The Prez, you can't miss him. Make sure you head over there. And when they get there, Prez, what do they find at wagertalk.com?
Well, firstly, Joe, I am the co-founder of this wonderful website. And I mean, really, what we are is a sports betting content provider. We've got thousands of articles up. Our YouTube videos are gold. I mean, and they're really becoming quite famous. If you go over to YouTube and you type in Wager Talk, subscribe to the Wager Talk TV channel, I mean, we're doing 15, 20 videos a week. We're getting probably over 100,000 views weekly. You know, it's straightforward sports betting information on every sport from college basketball through to soccer. And we have about 15 consultants working for us. We sell their picks to the general public, but not the old school way of handicapping where we're making up bullshit and trying to scam people. I hope I can say that word on your radio show.
Not a problem.
Scam, I mean.
Yes, exactly.
You know, and the prices are anywhere from $20 a day to $99 a week. I have a promo for your listeners later on in the show. For me, and I'm absolutely rolling right now. But I think everybody would really enjoy Wager Talk, and especially our YouTube videos. I do a 40-minute video on the entire NFL card every week, and it's a lot of fun to listen to.
It's a lot of fun, as a matter of fact, because we have we go ahead. We've had Kelly on the show. We have Ralph Michaels, who joins us each and every week, and it couldn't think of anybody better, honestly, Prez, to talk hockey and to talk about handicapping hockey than you. I mean, in addition to your NFL and your other picks, there's kind of a soft spot in your heart for hockey, isn't there?
Well, look, I'm from Toronto. I play hockey. I grew up with hockey. It's in our blood. I actually have a hockey stick sitting permanently in my Acura. Did you like that? I pushed Acura for you. I don't know what make my Acura is. I think it's an Acura 428 convertible.
Ooh.
Wait, that might be a BMW.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're not even in the right. You're not even there. Thanks. I just lost a sponsor. I appreciate that.
No, but the only reason I bought a BMW was that the Acura dealership was sold out.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's how popular their car is, brother.
Yeah, listen, I know we love our friends at Miami Acura here for sure. And let me ask you this, though, Prez, when talking about the NHL, early season observations from you, is there something that stands out to you that you go, wow, I didn't see this happening this early?
You know, Joe, I mean, look, it's more about, you know, which teams are surprising us. And we're so early in the season that ultimately it doesn't matter. But when you look at teams like Montreal at 8-5 on the year, or the New York Islanders at 8-5, I find it shocking. I mean, I honestly feel like Montreal might be in the bottom three teams in all of hockey. They've just got no offense, one defenseman. They're a completely mismanaged team. You know, and even Carey Price isn't what he used to be. This team has let in 51 goals in 8 games, which is crazy, and they keep winning. So if you're looking to start betting and you're looking at sort of the surprises, sports betting is exactly the same as the market. You sell high, you buy low. It's time to sell on Montreal. It's time to sell on the New York Islanders, maybe even sell on Buffalo. And it's time to buy on teams like the Los Angeles Kings, which is a huge surprise, especially with Korolev as their pickup, sitting at 5-9 with, the worst record in hockey. So look at betting in a similar environment as the stock market. And these teams that we expected to do well, start riding them if they haven't come out hot. And the teams that we expect to suck, start betting against them if they have come out hot. So right now, the bet against teams to me are Montreal and the Islanders, and the bet on teams are the Kings and maybe the Knights.
The Knights as well. Have you ever seen, you mentioned the Kings, and here we are, November 9th, and we've already got 2 coaching changes. The Kings got rid of Stevens. Now the Blackhawks got rid of Coach Q,
yep.
And he'll be unemployed all of 3 minutes here. But this early on to lose, is it a power struggle with these organizations? Is it that they just can't get along with the front office? It might be that way in Chicago, but the Kings are hot garbage.
Yeah, look, I can't speak to the Kings because they play too late at night. But in regards to Chicago, look, Coach Q, this guy's going to be one of the most sought-after coaches since Babcock left Detroit. I honestly feel like it's a Mike McCarthy syndrome for the Green Bay Packers where it's just time. At some point, you just get sick of listening to the same voice over and over again, playing the same system year in and year out, and it's just time for a change. And I don't think it's anything more than that, to be honest with you. This guy is an incredible hockey coach, so I wouldn't read too deep into that stuff, and I like the moves early in the season because none of these teams are out of it. It's an 83-game season. Chicago still has Tays. They still have Kane. They've got Seabrook and Keith. This is a good hockey team that could easily still make the playoffs. And they're sitting at 6-7, so they're not out of it by any stretch. I think it's a great move for both parties. I think Quenneville needs something new as well.
Lawrence Pressman joining us, wagertalk.com. Make sure you guys know the drill. Head over to wagertalk.com. Make sure you check him out. Go to his page. All sorts of great information and great opportunities for you to take advantage of the unbelievable hot streak that this man is on. Talk to us, Lawrence, about the amount of offense that we're seeing in the NHL this year. I know there were a couple of rule changes, but did you think we'd be seeing what we're seeing right now in terms of offense?
No. And you know what, Joe? It's going to adjust back down to a defensive game because these coaches are so good. And we've seen this before with rule changes where they come out guns blazing and then the coaches figure out a new trap program and it slows down. And we have already started to see a slowdown. But it is shocking. To go on and look at taking over and unders, which I really love betting, to see 6.5 on the board so often is unbelievable. And there's almost no 5s. And if you go back over the last 5 years of hockey betting, 5 has been a very crucial number. That's around the average goals per game across the board. And the lowest totals you're seeing now are 5.5. So the line makers have adjusted to this high scoring, and I think as a result, if you're looking to bet hockey for the next few weeks, I think the play is actually on under the total because the line makers will be behind the coaches. The coaches will make their adjustments first.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because I've had this conversation with a few people regarding the different leagues. I mean, listen, in Major League Baseball, the managers are order takers. They simply just put out the lineup that the general managers and the analytics people up there send down. The NBA, coaches don't matter. It's a stars league. The NFL, it's all about coaching. Would you say that it's all about coaching in the NHL, or is it just all you have enough stars you're going to win?
Well, if you go look, one thing's for sure: the NHL is not a stars league in the sense that, Sidney Crosby has won 3 Stanley Cups. What happened all the other years? Ovechkin's only won 1. Connor McDavid's been in the league for 3 years and only made the playoffs once. So we know that in the NHL, you need a full team to play. These guys are going out there for 45-second shifts, and they're rolling through 4 lines at a time. These stars are only on the ice 1/3 of the game. I think the NHL is, without question, a goaltenders league. If you don't have a world-class goalie, you're going nowhere. But it is a combination between a coach's league and a player's league. It sits somewhere between, I guess, the NFL and the NBA. I mean, the strategy from an NFL perspective, coach-wise, is probably the tops in all of sport. But the coaches still are. What the coaches can do in the NHL is affect the defensive style of the game. The offense is really dictated by the players.
It's interesting. Who would you say in the NHL right now, what are some of the names and teams for these top coaches, for these teams that you should probably, certainly when you're looking at handicapping these teams, and coaching is a big part of it, then give us some of the names and the teams of these teams that are just their heads and tails above some of the others?
Well, I mean, listen, Cooper at Tampa Bay is ridiculous. Babcock in Toronto is as good as it gets. I think those you're looking at, those are Trotz. Those are the elite coaches in the league. But I don't think you should be looking at coaches when handicapping hockey. I think ultimately, one thing very interesting about hockey that is similar to the NBA is that it's a leg sport. It's a sport that requires just an unbelievable amount of lower body strength. And as a result, there are teams that play 4 games in 6 nights in the NBA. Bet that 4th game. Bet against that team because their legs are just tired. And it's the same in hockey. 4 games in 1 week, Joe. I play hockey every Tuesday night. And I'm telling you, your legs get tired. And I think when you're looking at trying to figure out who to bet in hockey, take the very good teams, play against them when they're tired. Because, the Toronto Maple Leafs are going to lose to Buffalo. The Tampa Bay Lightning are going to lose to Arizona. And when they do lose those games, it's usually because the players' legs just can't keep going anymore.
Lawrence Pressman joining us, wagertalk.com via the Miami Acura hotline. Make sure you guys head over to wagertalk.com. We're talking NHL and some of the strategies when it comes to sports books and how to look at this, because it's one of the fastest growing markets in the sports book, that being the NHL. We know it's not the NFL, it's not the NBA, but it is certainly rising. And one of the questions we got a lot, Lawrence, is how do you decide? I mean, if you're just starting out, do you look at money lines? Do you look at the over-unders? Is there a process that people should look at?
Yeah, so firstly, sorry about the coughing.
Not a problem.
The weather has changed. The weather has changed in Toronto, and I am sick. There's 3 types of there's 4 types of bets in hockey. There's the totals, over and under 5.5 goals. There's the puck line, which is -1.5, very similar to the run line in baseball. But as opposed to baseball, where the home team doesn't bat if they're up in the ninth inning, what makes the puck line so interesting in hockey is you have 2 minutes of an empty net chance. So the puck line in hockey actually is a much better bet than the run line in baseball. You also have the regular line, as in this team will win the game -128. And then you have the three-way line, which means the team has to win in regulation. What I suggest to most people betting hockey is to really focus on the over and unders, how many goals are scored in a game, and also focus on the straight money line bets. A team is going to win regardless of overtime. Try to stay away from the puck line bets, because if you look, a lot of these games are one-goal games, and try to stay away from the three-way bet. If you are, however, going to do parlays, which I know a lot of your listeners want to do because it creates more money, $10 pays 60, that's when I think you should start looking at the puck line. Because a team that's -128 to win the game, that very same team to win the game by 2 goals is probably +200, and you do have 2 minutes at an empty net. So if you're going to make straight bets, focus on the money line and the totals, and if you're going to make parlays, you might as well go for broke and take the puck line and take the 2-to-1 odds.
How about as far as the books? Because the markets are a little softer in the NHL compared to the NBA and the NFL and Major League Baseball.
Right.
So are there certain books that are much better equipped to be able to handle the lines than others?
No. Most of the books follow each other, Joe. You are going to get a small difference. One book might have, the Leafs at -128. Another book might have the Leafs at -132. But it's not enough of a difference to worry about the books. But I think the most interesting point you make, Joe, is that the hockey lines are soft. And why are they soft? There has to be some logic to why the hockey lines are soft. And I'll tell you why, Joe. Hockey accounts for about 0.25% of a book's handle. So when we're sitting in November and they're taking NFL bets, college football bets, NBA bets, and now college basketball bets, when you add it all up, if the books lose every single hockey game, it makes no difference to them. It's such a small volume that is played on hockey that the books don't spend as much time tweaking and trying to get the lines right as they would an NFL Sunday, where they literally can't afford to screw up. So that's actually what makes hockey so interesting.
And that's and listen, this is all great information, and Lawrence Pressman joining us, wagertalk.com. This is the kind of information that even if you are starting out and you are looking to bet and hockey intrigues you, this is the kind of information that you guys need. It's also very valuable to head over to wagertalk.com and to make sure that you hit the Prez's page there at wagertalk.com, because in addition to information like this on the website, you've also got some deals going on right now as well, don't you?
We do. And Joe, listen, we do all the work for everybody. I mean, your listeners do not need to worry about who is going to win, a game tonight. We do that all for you. I mean, last year I hit 60% in the NFL, and my customers' bankrolls were 40% return on their money, which is, I mean, Warren Buffett would bow to me, my brother. So, we do all the work for everybody. And I do have a promo for your listeners. The promo, if you go over to wagertalk.com and you use the promo code PREZ, P-R-E-Z, or as human beings would call it, Zed. Prez, all, ALL, and then 25. That's Prez all 25. Your listeners will get the next 3 days of my entire betting card for $25. And Joe,
wow.
I'm 11 and 8 in hockey this season, but I am over 60% in the last 2 years. I am 10 and 2 to start the NBA season, which is ridiculous.
Wow. Wow.
And my NFL, Joe, after calling the over in the Pittsburgh game last night, is 23 and 12 on the year.
Damn.
I'm slightly up in college football, but it's not my best sport. And last year I was 61% in college hoops. So, just go over to wagertalk.com, use the promo code PRESALL25, try me out for the next 3 days, and let us do the work for your listeners. Let them just enjoy the games. It takes hours and hours to figure out who's going to win a game. You can't. This is not about guessing. Why? Who guesses with their hard-earned money?
And, one of the things that I love about, Ralph Michaels and you and the other guys that are on the site, Marco, is that when you do invest, and it is an investment, make sure you guys understand that. It's an investment in these guys for them doing all the legwork. But it's not like they're just throwing picks at you. There's actually an understanding and a reasoning behind those picks. It's not where you're just you're not throwing shit against the wall and hoping it sticks. And you've got to also understand where they're coming from, why they're making these picks. That's half the battle in order to be a competent professional sports bettor at some point down the road.
Well, when you buy our information, you're not just getting Atlanta Falcons. You're getting 3 paragraphs of why. But I'm glad you mentioned Ralph Michaels, because I don't think there's anybody in the industry that has more knowledge of systems and trends dating back the last 50 years than Ralph. I mean, he's a walking encyclopedia and just such an interesting man to listen to. You couldn't have picked a better person.
Yeah, he's awesome.
And Joe, one thing I would suggest is, me and you should, if you would have me again, and I will be more animated next time. I'm just trying not to sneeze. But we should do an actual show on how to bet.
Yes.
Because that is the most important thing, period. And that's really the disconnect between the amateurs and the professional bettors. The professional bettors are out there and they're ecstatic to hit 55, 56% on a year. An amateur bettor can still hit 52, 53%. So we're only talking about a very small percentage difference between an amateur and a pro. What the real difference is in how to manage your money. And that, I think, is the most important thing in all of sports betting.
Love that you said that, and we will absolutely do that, because one of our mottos here on the show, Prez, is that knowledge is power. The more knowledge you have, the more competent you can be, the more responsible you can be when it comes to sports betting. And unfortunately, in this space, there is an awful lot of crap. Everybody's a professional, handicapper. Everyone's got 90% winners. Well, you won't find those people. You won't find those people on this show. The only people you're going to find here are the ones who are tried, they're professionals, they're proven, and they'll never steer you wrong, because it is a business at the end of the day. You make money, they make money, everybody wins, and that's a great idea. We'll do that, but let's talk about some of there's a game tonight, in fact, because I know you are a Toronto fan, to say the least. The Maple Leafs taking on the New Jersey Devils, I believe, at home there for you. Is it Scotiabank Arena? Am I correct on that?
Yeah, they actually just changed the name from the Air Canada Centre to the Scotiabank Arena, and it pisses me off. I mean, you get in your, did they change? Is it still called the Joe Robbie? I don't even know, but it's like they should not be allowed to change names of arenas. These things get into the psyche, the culture of our cities, and now they're called something different.
Yes.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you 100% there. But before we get into the game, I want to ask you, I know Monday they are introducing, I believe they're inducting the Hall of Fame class. They're doing that on Monday, and one of the inductees is Marty Brodeur, the longtime New Jersey Devils goalie. And for some reason, we continue to get this argument, Prez, that Brodeur was overrated in his career. So I just want to ask you, Marty Brodeur.
Is that a joke? Who makes that argument?
It's all over the place. You look at it. People don't put him in the Dominik Hasek or the Patrick Roy categories. They don't feel he's anywhere.
That is just funny.
Yeah, so I want to hear from you, though. Where is Marty Brodeur? Your top 3 or 5 goalies of all time here, or even over the last 30 years.
Well, I'll make this really easy for you, Joe. Marty Brodeur is not in the top 3 or 5 goalies of all time. Marty Brodeur is in the top 3 or 5 hockey players of all time. For any of these people to claim that Marty Brodeur is not the very best goaltender to ever live is utterly ridiculous. If you go back and you look at Patrick Roy and the Montreal Canadiens hockey team, you're going to find superstars on that team. Dominik Hasek did nothing in his career other than flop around the net and hope the puck hit him in the stomach. Marty Brodeur played on a team where Scott Gomez was their leading scorer. I mean, come on. The New Jersey Devils with Marty Brodeur in net had a very bad hockey team other than Niedermeyer and Stevens.
And Stevens, yeah. And
this guy single-handedly won them cup after cup after cup. So I am not buying. I would be blown away if people in Toronto were making that argument. In other words, people who actually know hockey. Perhaps Barry Melrose on ESPN is making that argument, but I would be amazed if Ron McLean or Don Cherry or Elliot Friedman or any of the talking heads in a country that knows hockey would claim anything other than Brodeur was the greatest goaltender of all time.
So glad you said that, because I've seen it in a number of different places online, people having this argument. It's these Patrick Roy and Dominik Hasek lovers. They don't think anybody else could ever play goal besides those two guys, but your point is exactly correct. Patrick Roy played with even on the Colorado teams. He was playing with Sakic. He was playing with megastars. Who in the hell did Marty Brodeur play with? Come on, it's not even close. I'm so glad you brought that up. But speaking of goalies, you got actually a pretty good one in net here, who saved your ass earlier this week against the Vegas Knight. Lawrence Pressman joining us, WagerTalk.com, talking a little NHL here. Frederik Andersen, man, what he stopped? I mean, it must have been 80 or 90 shots on goal against the Vegas Knights a couple of nights ago. But he did a pretty damn good. He did a pretty damn good job. You beat them, and tonight you're at home taking on the Devils. Talk to us about this kid in net.
Well, and it goes back to what we were saying earlier in the show, that this is a goaltender's league. I think the shots were something like 45 for the Knights and 20 for the Leafs, and yet the Leafs pulled out a victory. Do I think Frederik Andersen is a top 5 goalie in hockey? Not right now. But I think he's in the top tier in the league. And I'm happy with him as our goaltender. If you go and you look at the best goalies in the league, Carey Price, for instance, Jonathan Quick, what you're finding in front of them are bad hockey teams. You cannot have. It's actually, it's interestingly enough, it's similar to the NFL. If you look at Aaron Rodgers, you see a bad team around him. If you look at Tom Brady, you don't see a bad team because they have Gronk, but you don't exactly see superstar running backs or wide receivers. The bottom line is, in this day and age where you actually have to pay people to play, you can't have everything. And the Leafs have Austin Matthews, John Tavares, Patrick Marleau, Mitch Marner, you know, a ridiculous team in front of a top tier, but at the bottom goaltender. I would rather take that than have Carey Price and a bunch of scrubs in front of him.
Amen to that. And you've got an interesting matchup tonight with the Devils, who won their first 3 games. They've lost 6 out of their last 7. But I think even you would, be rooting for former Leaf Brian Boyle there, who was diagnosed with some sort of crazy cancer. But he ended up scoring, I think, or even a hat trick earlier this week. And I know the Leafs got to be pulling for him certainly tonight.
Well, look, you know, I mean, Brian Boyle, it's not even about the cancer, Joe. I mean, this guy is just a really good human being. And he was a hell of a team leader when he did play for the Leafs for all of about 25 games. And I'll never forget that backhanded pass behind the net to set up a goal. One of the finest no-look passes I've ever seen. But as far as the Leafs pulling for Brian Boyle tonight, hell no. We're not pulling for anybody on that team.
I was waiting for it. Well, do you have...
They're going to... Nazem Kadri is going to hack him, stick him, hit him. Oh, please. All we want to do, all Toronto wants to do is win. This is a team that's plus 700 to win the Stanley Cup this year. Plus 700 with Tampa Bay and Nashville. They are favored to go to the Cup and win it. And I don't think they give a rat about anybody on any other team.
How about the health of the team right now? We know the kid is down for a little while there. Are we getting healthier and with the Maple Leafs?
Well, Matthews is out for probably another 3 weeks, but you know, the team has won their last 2 games. They've won 4 of their last 6 without him, including just 2 spectacular wins against Winnipeg. They finally have started to score a little, 5-0 in Pittsburgh without Matthews. You know, I think, you know, they've got the best coach in hockey. John Tavares is a stud. I think this team can go places without Austin, but we need him for the playoffs. I mean, I think Austin's a stud. You know, and actually, he asked my friend's daughter out on a date.
Really?
And she said no.
What?
What the hell?
Come on. What's up with that?
Dude, if he asked my daughter out on a date, I would be like, Maddie, say yes and give it up to him that night.
Yeah, you listen, honey, sweetheart, I love you, but you gotta go.
I would be like, my darling daughter, tell him you're on the pill and lie.
Exactly. Thank you very much for this. See, that's what we're talking about. Joining us via the Miami Agler hotline is Father of the Year, Lawrence Presman, WagerTalk.com. Let me ask you this, Lawrence. Do you have a feel one way or another taking the homerism out of this year? I know you're a Leafs fan, but when you look at the numbers tonight, do you have a play on this game?
I actually do, Joe, and I'm actually betting this hockey game.
Wow! So
anybody who uses the access code PRESOL25 and get my next 3 days of plays for $25, they will see that I am releasing this play to my customers. Joe, I'm going to be playing on under the total in this hockey game.
Ooh!
They expect 6 goals tonight. And I'm just not buying it. If you go back and you look at the Leafs without Austin Matthews, they have not gotten over 6 goals since Austin went out. And even if you look at the Leafs with Austin Matthews, their last 10 games, dating back to when they were in Washington, none of them have been over the total of 6 goals. So I'm a little amazed at why it is 6 goals. You know, it might be because New Jersey lost 3-7 against Ottawa a few days ago. But even New Jersey's not some scoring juggernaut. I think this game has got 2-0 written all over it. I'm actually going to play under the total of 6 goals in this hockey game.
Oh, see, there you go. I love it. Lawrence President, by the way, a side note, I believe 13 out of the last 16 with these two teams have gone to the home team. So Toronto is certainly home tonight. They'll be taking the ice, taking on the Devils. Under 6 is what the Prez likes. Give us a future, Prez. I mean, we're always looking for value here. You mentioned, of course,
right,
7-1. You said Tampa and early season favorites with Toronto. Is there maybe somebody in that 40, 50-1 range that you say keep an eye out?
Well, look, I mean, if you want to go as far as the 40 to 50 zone, my money would go on the Kings at plus 5,000, and the reason is straightforward. Jonathan Quick. I mean, you have a ridiculous goalie in net, and he gets hot at the right time, and you just can't put pucks behind him. If you want to look at a closer range, like maybe a plus 2,500. I think you would be looking at the Avalanche or the Calgary Flames. Don't sleep on the Calgary Flames. This team is rock solid up front, and they have a solid defensive core. So from a long shot perspective, I'm liking Calgary and Colorado. From an extreme long shot perspective, I like the Los Angeles Kings. With all that said, if I had to put my money on any team to win the Stanley Cup, I would take the Tampa Bay Lightning at plus 700.
See, this is the kind of knowledge and information you get by hanging out with us here on the show, and you'll get even more of it by heading over to wagertalk.com. Take advantage of the special 3 days, all access to the Prez's picks across all of the sports. Very simply, use the access code. Give it to us one more time, Prez.
The access code is PrezAll25. You get the next 3 days of action, and it's going to be a ton of plays. I mean, I have an NBA game up tonight. I have 3 hockey games up tonight. I have a 3-pack of college football tomorrow. I got a 3-pack of NFL on Sunday. And I hope I do your listeners proud. I'd love to see that coupon being used. And I really appreciate you having me on the show. Next time I come on, I will not be as sick and probably a little bit funnier and more animated.
Listen, it's my pleasure. It's always great to be able to talk hockey with a hockey guy, somebody that loves it. We got to do this more. I mean, we've got an 80-year-old Roberto Luongo down here that's winning hockey games still in net for us. So this town has certainly come around in Miami with its hockey. We do love. We love our team. We love the Cats down here. They got a long way to go, but it's always a pleasure when I get to talk hockey with somebody, Lawrence. Looking forward to doing this again. And you're right. We got to put a show together teaching people how to be smart when they bet.
Thanks, Joe. It's a real pleasure. And, I'm a Florida Panthers fan. I'm friendly with Peter Luco and some of the guys that have started and run this team for many years. I don't think they're going anywhere,
no.
But I do cheer for the Panthers, and I love the red that they chose. Just that Ferrari red is magnificent.
Amen. Fits it well down here. He is Lawrence Presman. Make sure you check it out, wagertalk.com. Go take advantage of his pick. Lawrence, I appreciate you fighting through the cold and coming on and talking some hockey with us, my friend. Looking forward to doing it again.
Thanks, buddy. Anytime.